Alright, so I took your guys' questions and I decided to randomize them all instead of having to go by list order. So let's see what we get first. Ass or tits? Okay, that is not the question I would have wanted to answer first, but you know what? Let's go with it. Fuck it, why not? Alright, before I answer this question, let me ask you guys something. Which answer won't get me canceled? If I'm being honest, I hold a firm stance on enjoying a view from the back. I'm more of an ass man myself, but you know, that doesn't really necessarily matter in the long run. I am a firm believer in saying that assets don't necessarily mean shit if a person's personality or character is shit. I'm being honest. If you like someone who has wonderful assets, but they have the most obnoxious personality or they're the most insufferable person on the planet and you can't connect with them, then that's all they have really. They don't really have anything else that'll really keep me going, keep me interested for a long period of time. It's not about the assets per se. The person behind the assets are more important than the assets themselves. I'm just saying. And if you disagree with me, well, you're part of the problem. Thoughts on BB Tag 2? As much as I would really like to have that, I don't think that's very realistic to expect a sequel. To put it simply, this game was essentially made as a one and done kind of thing, at least in my eyes. And despite how cool the game is and how vast the character roster, 2.0 really didn't do much for the game apart from change up the meta. It would be great to see the game expanded on, but I think BB Tag is not getting a sequel. You use Lychee and Taokaka as avatars in your videos, not just them, but I know what you mean. Are these your mains in Blaze Blue? Alright, so let me just clear things up. For my friend Caspar, he chose Taokaka as a character avatar because A, he likes cat girls, and B, he thinks the character actually is pretty cool. But for me, my reason is a little deeper. I did actually play Lychee in the Legacy Blaze Blue games and thought the character and her gimmicks were pretty cool. So I made my character based on her sprite, but it was also because I didn't have a lot of other options to use for the male side in the Blaze Blue roster, considering that many of them are hard to find. If I did, I would have probably used Naoto Kurogane or Bang Shishigami. If someone can find the sprites for Naoto and Bang, then I'll consider a character change. But until then, I'm sticking with my girl. Between Carmine and Akatsuki, who has bigger breasts? Carmine, there's no debate. I'm not even joking. For 7 whole months, I thought he was a hardcore lesbian before I found out he was actually male. That's how convinced I was he was a woman. Like, do you see his physique? It's very ladylike.
They're both almost the same. It's just the way that they're outlined. Like his are like more like U and his Akatsuki's are more like rectangled. So I feel like it's the same. I'd say they're the same.
Do you or will you play Skullgirls? I have played Skullgirls and I think it's a pretty neat game. As to whether or not I would pick it up again is a little bit harder to answer. I don't think I'd write that off as a definite no, as I've been trying out different fighting games aside from BB Tag like Dragon Ball FighterZ and Uniclear. Do you think there's gonna be more cross-tied DLC? If my suspicions are true and the Japanese fighting game roundtable has anything to show, we probably will get something in the spring or after Arc Revo Tour. Hopefully we do, but seeing as 2.0 didn't necessarily do too well, I don't think we'd really be getting many more updates anyway. I cross my fingers we do, and that they add probably Kagura, Bang, Lychee, even though she's kind of unrealistic, Rise, Enkidu, Byakuya, Adam, and Eltnum, but this is just a wish list and it probably won't happen. And if they don't add any characters but they do continue updating the game, balance the game out and nerf Yumi to the ground, please. If not, then the 2.0 patch is pretty much done and dusted. Are you gonna play the new Guilty Gear next year? Who knows? I think the game is definitely beautiful and the soundtrack as of thus far sounds incredible. In terms of gameplay, I think it looks so appealing and I might actually give it a try. But I'm going to rely on my friend Xiaoyun's impression of it because he is a massive Arc System Works fan and he loves Team Red and Daisuke. So more likely than not, he'll get it and let me know how it goes. If things sound good, I'll take a gamble and try it out for myself. I want to be a YouTuber someday. Any pointers? There are a few that I can give you. I'll try to keep it as simple as I can, but not every single one of them will apply to you or anybody else, so it just depends on what you decide to do. But here are some that I think would probably help. The first thing you'll want to do is definitely think about what content you want to do. Having a good foundation for what you want to do is key to being able to understand where your priorities lie, but also where to invest in the most. However, don't be afraid to try and be open-minded about other types of content. As one of my viewers once told me, don't pigeonhole yourself into doing certain types of content or one type of content. The second thing you're going to have to realize is that you're going to be investing quite a bit into your channel. If you're planning on doing this long term, you've got to be prepared to do quite a bit of investing, whether it be equipment such as computers, cameras, editing software, etc. You've got to be prepared to fork out money and ask for help to support that ambition. It's a risk, but if you're ambitious enough to accept it, then this won't hold you back. You can still make good content on a budget. My microphone is about $40 to $65 on Amazon, and I managed to attain Adobe Premiere 2019 Pro CC for like 55 bucks, which is a massive deal. It's about searching for good deals for a cheap price. If you need help, ask for some assistance from people who are very avid in the electronics department. But the most important thing you'll need is definitely a computer that can perform the task you're going to do. So make sure to focus on attaining that first before getting the other equipment. And lastly, just be you. There are many personalities on this platform, including myself. I'm just another YouTuber in the algorithm. Don't focus too much on what others are doing and focus on what you're doing. You're gonna start slow. You're not gonna see the fruits of your labor as quickly as you think, but over time, your following will grow and your video quality will improve. You will improve, but only if you put in the effort to do so. Work on your craft and don't stop striving to do better for each video you make. Don't go over the top, but at least find ways to improve upon the last video. Even if it's just a minuscule change, every step taken is another step completed towards your goal of doing what you really want to do. Crossover with Acme Arsenal when? I would really love to do that, no lie. He's actually one of the biggest reasons why I do content with my friends more often, as well as the idea of using BlazBlue chibi sprites to present our personas basically. But there are a couple things that are gonna hold me back from ever doing something like that. The massive one is the fact that he's on PS4 and I don't have one. As far as I'm concerned, he doesn't even play on PC, so he and I wouldn't really be able to collaborate that well. And even if I did, my recording schedule is so inconsistent that I'd probably not be able to because I have so much going on that recording is hard to do. As is, I don't really have any real quiet space with internet if I want to play online either, so that's going to be hard. Offline, I'm set, but online is a massive issue. And the second one is that I don't want things to be awkward. Sure, he and his friends are erratic as hell and can be pretty outlandish, just like me, but I feel like I'd be trying to act a certain way around him and his friends, and I don't want to be that guy. I'm usually true to myself for the most part, but I get pretty shy after a while, especially when I meet new people. I'm not the best when it comes to communicating with new people, but I'm open to it. Maybe one day, but it's highly unlikely as of right now. Are you willing to do videos with other YouTubers? If so, when? Yes, I am, and funny enough, I've already done some videos with other YouTubers. My first ever video that I've done with anybody is another YouTuber by the name of I Am Bason, which I'll leave in the description. We played fighters against each other, which I got royally clapped, by the way, but it was a fun video to make regardless. I made 2 other videos, being with my friend Nanashi, who has his own channel, or channels might I add, and I made a couple videos with Zhao Yun. In terms of doing videos with other creators though, I'm down for that. What's your biggest annoyance / pet peeve?
Ooh, there's a lot. But you know what? I think I would have to say people not picking up after themselves. If you make a mess, like even if it's tiny, like just make sure you pick up after yourself, you know? I think it's just pretty easy to do that. Or maybe because I'm a clean freak, I don't know. That's probably it too. I'm just so used to cleaning all the time, you know? Because that's how I grew up, like cleaning up after others. So now that I'm older, I realize like, okay, if I have things clean, I don't have to do as much and I don't have to put so much effort into it.
Mob mentality. As soon as one person starts saying some shit and a lot of people agree with that, everybody will start attacking everything based on that statement. And one of the biggest ones that I see on the internet is definitely regarding BLM. Like everybody just goes off Now, don't get me wrong, I really do think that there is injustice in America when it comes to systemic racism, but at the very same time, BLM doesn't seem to stand for just making Black Lives Matter in this country anymore. It's far past that now. People are just using it as an excuse to raid, to loot places, and rob places in the open. They're robbing and destroying the very people they're supposedly trying to stand up for. So, you know what? Fuck mob mentality. What shifted your work ethic, and how would you tell people to improve upon themselves?
Honestly, I just don't want to live the same way that I am living now. Like, I am focused on my future. It's like, I am seeing my future. I am doing my best to stay positive. Obviously, I'm not going to say, 24/7, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be positive, but I'm not going to stay down anymore. I'm not going to let them stick me down. And don't let other people's words bring you down, no matter who they are, no matter how close they are, no matter if they're your family, your relatives, your significant other. If you decide something for yourself, and let me say that again, decide something for yourself, do it no matter what. If you believe in yourself, that's all that matters.
To answer the first part, it definitely was an ongoing struggle of mental fortitude and constant questions being asked of myself of what I really wanted to do. I never really had much of an ambition, but YouTube has been that one place that I felt was maybe worth something. Despite having very little to no knowledge whatsoever of how to work the system and how to edit my videos, I just did it all on my own and figured things out as I went along with it. And to answer the second question, my advice to anybody who's had this phase where they question what they need to do or how to improve themselves, I would say to think over what your goal is currently and what your goals are for the future. Look at where you are now, look at where you want to be, but most importantly, look at where you were before. Have you improved or have you declined? Regardless of the answer, you still have one more question you need to ask yourself. Do you want to improve upon your current circumstances? It comes from oneself, but reaching out for support doesn't hurt. While you're figuring things out for yourself, don't be afraid to ask for help and allow people to support you in your time of need. Can I get a boneless pizza? You know what? Just for that, I'm gonna give you one with bone in. Have fun with that. You ever down to play Dragon Ball FighterZ with fans of the channel? Oh hell yeah, I would love to play against you guys and royally get my ass handed to me. But I tried to do that once and nobody showed up, which was kind of upsetting. I won't lie, I was kind of depressed about the lack of attendance, but that won't stop me from trying this again in the future. But for now, I'm gonna have to put that on hold until things get better. Would you rather fight 100 chicken-sized T-Rexes or 1 T-Rex-sized chicken? That is a very good question, and holy Christ, that came out of left field. Alright, realistically speaking, both are terrible to deal with, but if I have to choose one, fuck, dude, like, that's a hard question. If it's still a chicken size, it'll still be able to retain its strong jaw. It may be smaller and maybe lighter, but it'll still be able to maintain that jaw strength to tear through flesh. And not to mention, I'm dealing with 100 of them. So that's already an L. But the T-Rex sized chicken is a massive L too, because if I wind up getting squashed by that thing, it's game over. Or if he picks at the ground with its beak, I'm getting stabbed, I'm getting skewered. But if I'm being realistic, I'd rather take the T-Rex sized chicken because at least it's only one of them versus 100 chicken sized T-Rexes. That'll essentially kill me and the entire neighborhood. Versus one T-Rex sized chicken, oh, the government will get on that shit. I'll gladly fight a T-Rex sized chicken. I'll go a full Attack on Titan on that bitch. How do you push yourself to continue difficult tasks?
I think it's just an everyday kind of thing. And it's not more of a struggle. I think it's more of like your mentality on how you take it. It's like, you gotta be grateful for what you have. You know, it may not be where you want to be, but it's like, okay, do I have a roof over my head? Do I have food to eat? Sometimes it's hard with the people that you're living with, you know, because sometimes you're like, fuck, I hate everybody. Don't talk to me. I don't want to talk to anybody. And it's totally understandable because we all go through that. Like, honestly, you just gotta live one day at a time, you know. And as cliche as that may sound, it's like you literally are just living one day at a time. That's all we're getting.
It's not easy to give a clear answer that works for everybody, since everybody deals with adversity differently. But the way I overcame some of my difficulties, such as demotivation when it comes to editing or making videos, or depression, I always look back at the effort that I put in up until now. I always revisit my videos, look at the comments, and think about how much effort it took me to make those videos. When I factor all of these things together and find myself wondering what now, I keep reviewing, I keep looking, I keep asking questions, keep thinking, keep trying. Life is an ongoing struggle, and sometimes the only way to overcome that struggle is just to face it head on. I almost gave up on YouTube before I even started last year because I was having so many issues with my equipment and because of Kappa looming around December, but I stuck to it and made it work. Even if I'm not as entertaining as I realistically would hope to be, I'm having fun and making light of my situations when I can. Even during quarantine, the main thing I take from all of that is to be realistic, but always try to have a positive outlook on what you do so you don't wind up being too self-deprecative. What makes you different from other YouTubers? In terms of content, not much. I'm pretty much unoriginal to some extent, considering a lot of my video ideas, a lot of my videos that I've published have actually been influenced or have been adapted based on what other YouTubers have done. But I do think that I'm unique in the way that I go about speaking my mind. My story is definitely unique to me, at least, and I definitely don't really hear a lot of people who have issues with mental health, autism, and ADHD simultaneously come out and speak about it casually for the world to see on a platform as big as this one. I mean, I was hoping to one day talk about this on a TED Talk describing how my journey went, but I found it to be a little bit more restricting in the form of expression. I don't mind a professional setting and the standards that go with them, but I speak very deeply from the heart and mix those feelings with logical reasoning, and because of that, I would speak for much longer than necessary, because I would learn new things about my mindset and my own life as I speak, and then I would say more on those topics and get off track. I like to speak my mind, and I'm not afraid to say some things that are important to me but seen as controversial to others. If I want to say fuck this current society we live in where clout matters more than character, I don't think TED Talk would let me. So I choose YouTube as a nice alternative. Plus I get to record stuff that I normally do as a pastime anyway. I always wanted to share my story. My only obstacle was who and where would I share it. Now I know. It's right here. Little by little, my story will spread, and I hope that my journey will influence and inspire those who have similar obstacles to find the strength to overcome their problems as well. I'm not a motivational speaker by any means, and I'm not even a success story. I'm just a guy who wants to share that individuality with others and hopefully influence others to do the same. And with that, the Q&A is done. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new, and click the bell notification so you never miss an upload. And with that being said, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys in the next video.